Okay, so Shalom. So now, matter of fact, let me cut that slide on so won't nobody think, let me get a clear view of my face here, okay? Can you see me? All right. So now this message is titled Deck of Cards. All right? Deck of Cards. All right? Let me drink something real quick. Deck of Cards. Okay. This message is titled Deck of Cards. All right? And it says, well, wait. I'm going to read an article. Okay? This message is titled Deck of Cards, and I'm going to read an article. Okay, good evening, by the way. Shalom. Listen to this article. According to the measure, 226 million people are starving in Africa. According to this measure, 226.7 million people are starving in Africa. Okay? Now, I want you to pay attention. It says the countries most affected by extreme poverty and hunger in Africa are mainly those located south of the Sahara. 1 in 4 people suffers from hunger, which means here in this area, which means y'all don't get it because I don't know what the gossip is, and I don't know what the slander is. Okay? I'm a tired man. Okay? I don't care about what anybody tells. I don't care about the loose lips. Loose lips are among the most cowardly thing that anybody could ever have. Loose lips. Okay? So I'm not concerned about the loose lips. All right? I go to bed late. The only way I go to bed early is if I choose not to see my sons. Then I go to bed early if I choose not to see my sons. But if I want to see my sons, because they got this crazy schedule now where they sleep during the whole damn day. And they want to be woke at 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and carrying on and all that. Okay, I keep telling their mom about their schedule. Okay? So 1 in 4 people suffers from hunger here in this particular area. Okay? Let me read that over again, okay? I'm going to do it fast. Okay, according to the measure, 226.7 million people are starving in Africa. The countries most affected by extreme poverty and hunger in Africa are mainly those located south of the Sahara. 1 in 4 people suffers from hunger there, which means that the share of the world's hungry is highest in sub-Saharan Africa. So, first of all, I want y'all to understand something very important. This message, okay, and what I'm about to say is critical. Okay? What I'm about to say to you is very critical. this message is not about people feeling sorry for the people in Africa. Okay? Because, to be honest with you, my emotions aren't built like that either. People might not care for different reasons. Some people simply don't care because they're selfish. Okay? That's not my reason. Now, I'm not going to say I don't care, but listen, because I need you all to listen to what I'm saying, because this is not about emotions. Okay? I have to say this because this is very critical. What I'm saying right here is very critical. This is not to get you all to boo-hoo about the starving people in Africa. No, it's not. I'm telling you it's not. If I said it's not, that's what it is. If I'm saying something, I'm saying exactly what I mean. I'm not somebody that says one thing and means something else. That's very, very foolish. If I say something, that's exactly what I mean. So this message is not, because my emotions aren't even built like that myself. They're not set up like that myself. It doesn't mean that I don't have some compassion for them. That's a little different, okay? But that's not what this message is about. Many of you simply just could care less. I'm not mad at you for not caring less. Listen, let me tell you something, right? But I just want to say this. We live here in Philadelphia, right? Not only do we live here in Philadelphia, let me talk about the majority. Let me talk about the Negro here in America. Right? The Negro here in America. Right? The Negro here in America. Okay? The Negro here in America. Oh, lights up. Okay. All right, so now I got to cut these lights out because I'm inside the car here. This car that I'm in right here, it will certainly die. I'll leave it on for a little bit. The Negro here in America, right? I don't know about the rest of you. Now, see, a lot of us like to over-exaggerate, right? The name of the title, this message is titled Deck of Cards, okay? A lot of black folk here in America, not all of us, a lot of us, grew up poor, okay? Poor meaning our families didn't make a lot of money, okay? Some of us grew up in the projects. Some of us grew up in the ghetto, so-called. Remember what I told y'all what a ghetto is? A ghetto is is a part of the city, or a third or something of the fourth of the city, where the Jews reside. Remember, Negro, black man, black woman, you are, especially you Negroes here in the so-called hood, in the so-called ghetto, you are the true Israelites. You are the true children of Yahushua HaMashiach. You are the true children of Yahuwah, the true children of the creator of the universe. You are a set-apart people, a special nation. Okay? Many of you are wicked, but nonetheless, you still are the brothers and sisters of Christ. Direct bloodline. Okay? So, we have enough. See, there are people whom live in Africa. I'm not talking about many of you that live in some of the wealthier parts of Africa. Okay? Right, because this is talking about south of the Sahara. If correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not looking at a map. I could be wrong, but I believe that's south of like Nigeria and Algeria, which are some of the more wealthy areas of Africa, Lagos, however you pronunciate these whatever, but but here in the inner cities of the so-called rural areas here, whether it's in Philadelphia, whether it's in New York, Brownsville, the Bronx, Brooklyn, Philadelphia, certain parts in New Jersey, certain areas in LA, Compton, whatever, certain areas in Chicago, Baltimore. A lot of brothers and sisters are born into poverty. So this is very important. Before I start this message, I'm not trying to tell you all here, oh, the Africans, but no. We have our own problems. Now, also, I'm not saying that it's wrong to be compassionate, because, I have compassion, right? There's nothing wrong with me having compassion. But let's not get it twisted. I don't want you to misconstrue this message, because my emotions are not set up in that manner as well to boo-hoo about these people. Now, do understand that you and myself and every Negro and even the people in the other nations, but let me give a disclaimer, not because I care about your feelings, but because the gospel is for everybody. Oh, it is. The gospel is for the Arab man. The gospel is for the China man. The gospel is for the Caucasian man. The gospel is for anybody that wants to listen. Okay? All of you are welcomed. But I'm not speaking to you all tonight. I'm only speaking to the Israelites. And here's why. Because this message is called Deck of Cards. And many of you Arabs and Caucasians and Chinese people, the deck of cards that you are dealt is not as bad as the deck of cards of the Israelites. Okay? So, point I'm making is, sure, okay, if you want to have compassion, fine. I have compassion, right? But I don't want anything to get misconstrued here. I spent about 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, or maybe even almost 10 minutes on this, because I want you Negroes to understand that this message is not to get you all to, the Africans, because we have our own problems. Here in Philadelphia and in Baltimore and in certain areas of New York, we have our own problems. Now, our dollar is better, and if there are people that donate to orphanages over there and things of that nature, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you're doing it with some integrity and you're doing it with a good heart, then the likelihood that you're going to be blessed for it. And I encourage, if anyone can, to do so. But this, once again, that ain't what this message is about. Now, I wanted to iterate that. So now, let's keep moving now, okay? Now, I spent 10 minutes on that because it's very important that you Negroes know. Now, I'm not trying to get anybody to feel sorry about anybody, okay? We all have been dealt our own personal deck of cards, okay? All of us. All right? Now, my point is this, okay? I'm going to get to it in a minute. So, That is the highest area of the world's hunger. Why did I read that message? Because that is the deck of cards that those people, or those African people in the sub-Sahara, south of the sub-Sahara desert of Africa, that is the deck of cards that they've been dealt. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, let's go to the next article. Okay? Well, it's not an article. What is born in slavery? It's common sense, but I'm just going to give it a little detail, okay? So we're not talking about the Africans in the sub-Sahara desert anymore, okay? We're on to another subject now, okay? Born in slavery. Descent-based slavery describes a situation where people are born into slavery because their ancestors were captured into slavery and their families have belonged to the slave-owning families ever since. Slave status is passed down the maternal line. Okay, that's simple to understand, right? Let me put it in this perspective. You're born into this world, your parents are slaves, you get born into slavery because your parents were slaves. So we're talking about, relatively, this is talking about the slavery that allegedly occurred in 1619, or allegedly began in 1619, right? Though there were many slaveries prior to that, but this is, for whatever reason, this is the only slavery that they want to make popular, the slavery of Roots, and what's that movie, Something a Slave, or whatever the case is. They always want to talk about that specific slavery, right? Reason being is because that is not too far away, the history is not too old, and they can't lie that those slaves were black. But all the slaveries before then, when you see them like in the movies, like in the Ten Commandments, like when our forefathers and our ancestors were slaves in Egypt, they want to make, how you make everybody white? You make the slaves white and you make the slave masters white. See, you know something is wrong, right? All of these movies that Hollywood portrayed, Hollywood is still lying to us to this day. But one day, one of our own people will break. This will happen sometime in the future. Okay? The person might be assassinated or whatever the case may be, but it's something's going to happen where there's going to be a leak and Hollywood is going to be restrained from stopping, for some reason restrained from stopping this person from making this movie. But that's not what I'm going to tell, and it's not going to last long either. But let me keep moving here, right? So basically, what was I saying here? I was saying that descent-based slavery describes a situation where people are born into slavery because their ancestors, okay, so because your ancestors were slaved, right? And here's the twist. And then the slave status, okay, so your slave, that your mom and dad was a slave. So that status of being a slave is passed on to you. And you just came out the womb and you don't even know, you could not help your situation. So, what was that? That was your deck of cards. Okay? That was your deck of cards. Now, let's move on. Okay? We're going to go to another article. All right? Africa is on the cusp of a new period in its history. Its renaissance freed from centuries of colonialism and neo-imperialism. Africa has the opportunity to become a center of economic might or a center of economic strength. To provide prosperity to the continent's growing population. Yet, at present, Africa unfortunately faces a new danger. Sino-imperialism, the risk of falling under the control of a China, under control of China, largely through Chinese economic investment and loans. With an estimated 500,000 Africans in China, between 1 and 2 million Chinese migrants in Africa, and the growing prominence of Sino-African religions, the experiences of immigrants in both regions will continue to evolve. This is August 16th of 2021 of last year. Now, I want to reiterate what's going on here. As I told y'all before, Africa is in great danger. Africa is in great danger because the Chinese government is heavily invested in the continent of Africa. Heavily invested. Now, the area that's southern of the area that's south of the sub-Sahara desert, where those Africans are starving, that land is owned by Queen Elizabeth, which is the reason why she owns that land specifically. You cannot go on that land and do anything that you want to do on that land. You see Caucasians go out there in their little Isuzu Jeeps, and they wear their little safari outfits, and they carry a rifle and a whip, and they carry a machete, and all types of things are happening to those people out there in the sub-Sahara by these Caucasians. But these Caucasians, these sub-Saharan Caucasians, not all of them are over there for mischief. Some of them are, they get into the animals and all of that stuff. But if you want to know why nothing's being built out there, is because the land is owned by the Queen. And she's the landowner. She's the landlord. So you can't just go building stuff on people's property. That's the reason why that area you see was nothing but like the huts that the Africans build themselves and that they built themselves and things of that nature, right? Well, you being born over here in America, if you were born in the projects, that was your deck of cards. If you were born in the regular ghetto, that was your deck of cards. If you were born in a mansion and you were rich, that was your deck of cards. The deck of cards, I didn't say the deck of cards had to be bad, right? But let me tell you something. If Christ came down here right now Listen very, very, very carefully to what I'm about to say to you. If Christ came to me right now in the flesh and said, "Lo, I'll let you start your life over." This phone is about to die. I'll let you start your life over. However you want to start it. Or you can go ahead and continue living the life that you've already lived. He told me you can, if you want to start over, you can have a life of riches, all the women you want, all the wives you want. All you got to do is say, "Tell me what you want." I would tell Christ, "Let me continue in the life that you have given me." I would not go back and change not anything, because there's nothing that ever happens in my life that I'm ashamed of, first of all. I've had some bad times and I've had some good times. I've had a lot of money and I've been poor. So I wouldn't change anything. Okay? By the way, if you want to know who's sometime calling me, just know it's not my mother. When you see me hang up, it's not my mother. It's not my wife. It's not my daughter. I'm not hanging up with my family members, okay? Even though that's none of your business. It's just none of your business. Now, let's go to a scripture. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6. 1 Timothy chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 7. For we brought nothing into 1 Timothy chapter 6. We're going to start at verse 7. This is Paul speaking. And Paul's going to say, "For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out." So we didn't bring anything into this world. When we came out of our mother's womb, we came in this joint buck naked. And when we die, okay, so we might have on a suit if you don't get cremated. But when we die, we're not taking nothing with us either. Now, I want everybody to understand something, right? Matter of fact, and having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. But they will be rich, but they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. Now, I want to say something, right? This fucking belt. Fucking belt. Shit, the fucking buckle, man. Now listen, right? Excuse my language. Now listen. Okay? I want to read that again. And I want to explain it. Okay? For we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. And after food and raiment, let us be therewith content. But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith, and pierced themselves through with many sorrow. But they, and having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. Now, I noticed, let me come right back.